Looking ahead, an East Texas Historic Sites Visitor Center will reopen tomorrow after being destroyed by a tornado. This is what was left of the Visitor Center at the Caddo Mounds State Historic Site after a tornado tore through that building back in 2019. Dozens of people were injured and one person was killed during a Native American cultural event. Tomorrow, after years of hard work to rebuild this center, it will officially reopen to the public. The event itself will last from 10 to 3 with the ribbon cutting set to happen at 11:30, followed by Caddo song and dance from 1 to 3, and then an archaeology tour from 2 to 3 in the afternoon. If you've never been, Caddo Mounds is located there along Highway 21 to the west of Alto, and this has been a long time coming. A lot of people have been involved with getting this center up and running.
And the weather tomorrow is going to be beautiful.
Good deal.
Well, so you'll have to go.
That's our time for the news at 6. Thanks for being with us.
Have a great night.